Welcome back to the GC channel. I'm your host, Orlando Casares, the president and founder of First Law International. If you're new with us, welcome. This is a channel especially for you, for the GCs and for in-house legal teams, and is powered by general counsels. We'll be covering today some of the trendiest topics, things that keep you up at night, and we hope that you will find the next few minutes invaluable and very insightful. So follow us along. Let's tee off the conversation now into something that any GC should be worried about these days. And if they're not, I'm hoping that your remarks are going to create enough of a reaction, and that is the trade wars. We all know, we know that we don't learn much from history, but for many of the GCs that are younger, they may or may not remember the last trade war that we had. I mean, in terms of a significant impact, if we go back to the 1930s, for example, with the Smoot-Hawley, start of what later became an increased import tariffs around the world, and at that time it went from 40 to 48%, and that little uptick of 8% was enough to turn what was a recession into a depression, which ultimately, contributed to World War II. I mean, so many of the GCs that are now retiring, they remember that clearly, but the younger GCs that are now sitting there, they would have no idea. So what would you tell them? Why is the current climate for tensions right now between the EU and the US? Let's start from there before we go into China. Why should a GC and his team in-house be concerned about what's going on in that area?
I think that's a good question. I should point out that I'm not actually old enough to personally remember Smoot-Hawley, but I am aware of it.
Good point.
There was a quiet period for about 10 or 15 years after the fall of the Soviet Union, when the world seemed to be emerging, or at least changing, from a mercantilist view with various global factions engaging in trade wars. So for people who came into the profession or started doing this kind of work during that quiet period, it's hard to remember that is not the rule, that's the exception. The last few years, there has clearly been increasing tension between various groups and factions in the world. The EU has been conducting a quiet information war against the United States. Some of GDPR is obviously motivated by legitimate concerns for personal privacy. But you have to recognize that it's been used by at least some, and I include governmental entities, to try to control data in Europe from coming into the United States and to censor what can be disclosed from the EU, even our own companies in the EU, to the United States, and not recognizing that the commercial interests of the EU and the governmental interests of the EU are increasing in tensions means that one can assume that everything will be fine. But in fact, there's going to be more tension and more conflict and more governmental regulation that is disadvantageous to certain areas like the United States and trying to favor localities such as the EU. And I think that general counsels have to be alert to the fact that the world has changed again and that this is back in vogue and it's not going away. And so you're going to see those kinds of alignments and realignments in ways that we really hadn't experienced for the last decade or so.
I think that's very appropriate, the term alignment and realignment, because that's exactly what it's happening right now. In the first 100 days of the new administration, there's been some interest on both sides to realign the dialogue between the US and the transatlantic partnership with the EU which has been less cantankerous as it has been with the East, and we'll get to China earlier in a minute. Well, thank you for watching. If you would like to see more videos like this one, subscribe to the channel and press the notification button below so that you will be alerted when new videos come out. We hope that you've enjoyed it, and we look forward to the next one. And don't forget,